Hi, and welcome back. I'm Allison Lewis with the 7-Minute Life. We're a time management company, and I am a time management expert. I'm really glad to be with you today because I know that time management is a universal problem. It's likely that when you woke up this morning, your head started swirling with all of the things that you needed to get done. And you thought, I don't even know what to start with. I don't know what to do first. I don't know how long things are going to take me to do. And that's how we feel almost every day. When was the last time you woke up with just a few things on your list and you actually got to the end of the day and you said, whoop, got it all done? Well, that doesn't seem to happen very often. And that's why we're in this class today. We're not just going to be talking about what the problems are with time management. I hope by the end of this class, you're going to have concepts, you will have learned things, but more importantly, you'll have tools that you can hold in your hand and begin to improve your personal time management just by the end of this webinar. So let me go ahead. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Today, we're going to be talking about three things: time management, productivity, and efficiency. And even looking at those words, my guess is you're shaking your head going, yes, I need to improve my time management, and I want to increase my productivity, and I want to learn how to be more efficient. You know, people have got to have these repeatable processes and systems because we're just worn out. You know, we walk in the office, we think we have some kind of mental plan of action, and then all of a sudden the fire drill happens. And really, all of a sudden, we look up and our entire day is gone. It's just amazing how often and how quickly that can happen. Well, who is Allison Lewis? I'm a person that has always had disorganization problems. I wanted to personally improve my time management. So about a decade ago, I created a single sheet of paper that's called the Daily Progress Report. It was one sheet of paper that I could create my entire written plan of action because I wanted to improve my time management and my daily productivity and my efficiency. That turned into the 7-Minute Life Daily Planner. And then a few years ago, Simon & Schuster published the 7-Minute Solution. And it was really fun because I wanted to share that book, The 7-Minute Solution, is now out in Spanish, Chinese, and Korean. So if you look at the problem with time management, you can look at this slide and realize the reason that I've been invited to speak to so many companies just like yours is that we all struggle with time management. And it doesn't just affect our day, it actually affects our entire corporation. It affects our teams, it affects how productive we are on the projects and the deadlines that we have. And absolutely, it affects our personal life, our families, our purpose, our priorities. That's why this webinar is so important. It's been great to work with companies just like yours. And because time management is so critical, it's been really fun to be mentioned in some of the most important magazines and media out there. I love Fast Company, and even Real Simple. It's been really fun to do these things. Now, if you don't know me, you can see in this image that I have quite a bit of energy. And I think that's why we want more time. We want to be able to regain all those things. We want to re-engage in life. Just let that sink in. We want more time so that we can laugh, we can be with people, we can actually do our jobs effectively. We can improve our self-esteem. And the bottom line is we all want to have more energy. I think that's why time management is so important. And I thought I'd throw this in. This is a picture from Northwest Arkansas when I was working as a keynote at the Northwest Arkansas Women's Conference, the expo up there. What a great opportunity to sit in front of 1,000 women in this case and share a message that I know is a problem that they want to solve. So let's jump in to time management. You know, even that word time management kind of makes me cringe. I know that we all look at it and we go, I'll never get it all done. So what do people do when they come to us? They say, Allison, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do first. And that really is a key to improving your time management. You have to know what you need to do. In fact, clarity of knowing what you need to do is probably the most important thing. When was the last time that you walked into your office with an exact understanding, with a perfectly clear understanding, with a not only a mental picture, but some kind of written plan of action that said, here's what I need to do? When was the last time that that happened? Imagine what it would feel like to come into the office every day with an actual tool, with a written piece of paper that said, here's what I'm going to do today. Here's my commitment. I'm going to put a stake in the ground, and I'm going to know at least what I need to do. The second part of that is, even if you know what you need to do, a lot of times we don't know how to do that. We haven't created the tools, the processes, the project management. We don't know the common language. We're not quite sure we have the skill sets, so we don't know how to do it. Backing that up, the very first part is we need to know what we need to do. I want you to think that through. When was the last time we actually walked in the office knowing crystal clear that we had a complete clarity of what we needed to do? And then did we have the skill sets for how we could accomplish that? And then people come to me, especially because they want to learn how they can do it faster. They want to be able to know what they need to do. They want to have tools to help them do it, to take the how. And then they come to us and want to know, okay, how can I do it faster, Allison? I think you'll be surprised to see that time management, in my mind, actually begins with a to-do list. When I look at this, the to-do list is the beginning of time management. Like I said, when you walk into the office, you have to know what you need to do. It's the what that is the starting point. So if you have something like this, a day, knowing what you need to accomplish is the very beginning point of time management. So what do you want to do? In order to do that, people create a to-do list. Here's what I need to do. The problem with most people's to-do list is it actually looks like this. It's that swirling information in our heads, not that we need to do, but things that we don't want to forget to do. And that's not what a to-do list is. Let's think about what a real to-do list is. A to-do list is something that you are making a commitment to do until it's done. A to-do list requires action. And that's part of what's going to give you your energy back. If you walk into the office with a to-do list that has random things on it, and you may have 5 or you may have 15 or you may have 20 things on that to-do list, that is not going to fill you with action and energy because you can't get 15 or 20 things done. It's actually going to hurt how we feel. We are going to come in. We're going to feel overwhelmed. We're going to have too much to do. We're not going to know where to start. So having a random to-do list that's just swirling chaos, that is not a to-do list, it's really a here's what I want to not forget to do, and we can take no action on it. This is where time management literally hurts. When you come in with a mental agenda or some kind of random list written on the back of an envelope or put on Post-it notes on the dashboard of your car, even written on the palm of your hand, those are not things that you're going to make a commitment to. You know, time management is not just about being efficient. It actually is about getting your job done, about being good at what you do, seeing progress, feeling like the work that you're doing is adding value back to your team, that you're able to accomplish important things, not just a lot of things, but things that are important to your family, that are important to you, that are important to your teammates, your coworkers, and even to your company. That's why time is so important. It is a reality that is probably one of the keys to life itself. And so where did this 7-minute life come from? The 7-minute life began because I was in a situation. I was one of those people that just put things down that I didn't want to forget. So I wasn't one of the people that walked in with 15 things on my list. I might have 20 or 30. I might have a gazillion on my list. And so here's what happens. Let's say that I would create a to-do list that was random, and I might have 15 things on my to-do list. Well, I know I have 24 hours because if I'm putting it on a to-do list, even emotionally, I know I want to do them, and I know at least somewhere that I want to get them done. But there has to be a reality check at some point that says there are only 24 hours in the day, Allison. How in the world do you think you're going to get 15 things done in a day? Well, I walk in and I think, well, I have all the energy in the world and I can get it done. So bring it on. Let me have more than 15 things. But let's see what that feels like. Legitimately, and I still do this sometimes, but legitimately, if you had 10 or 15 things on your to-do list that you wanted to get done in the next 24 hours, let's experience how that might feel. So let's count these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Even looking at that, what did you feel? I think it becomes a reality when we start looking at how many things we're trying to put into our day, that it's obvious we cannot get everything done. Now, because this 24 hours is a hard framework, we can't break that out. Let's say that you actually have these things on your to-do list and you want to get them done, but all of a sudden a coworker walks into your office and has an enormous project that you're going to need to work on for an hour and a half, and that now has come into your day as the most important thing. What we have to realize, because this framework can't be broken, is that if someone walks into your office with an hour and a half of work to do, it automatically means that an hour and a half of something else will be kicked out. Let me say that again. If you have all these things already pre-planned in your day, that you have said, I am going to do these 15 things, and at the end of the day, I'm going to have output. You know, that's what productivity is. It means to produce an output. I'm going to have all these tasks. I've got my time all planned out. I'm going to produce on them until I get to an output that I can mark as done. When someone walks into your office and they say, I've got this urgent project, we have a new deadline, something's happened, and they put an hour and a half project into your schedule, it by default means that you have now lost an hour and a half of your time to work on the to-dos that you had said you would do. If something comes into your life, automatically something else gets knocked out. In fact, whatever you choose to put into your day also automatically. When you choose to put something into your life, you're automatically choosing not to have something else in it. Now that's frightening to me, because not only do we have urgent things that come in from our coworkers that knock out things, we also make conscious choices of what we'll do. And if we choose to do something that is low value, and we do that for, say, 3 hours, and I don't know what that might be for you, but if you're working on low value tasks during the day because you maybe didn't have clarity, if you work for 3 hours on something, automatically you've lost 3 hours of your time. And you've never gotten to the output. And here's the big problem, is that when you have 3 hours come in and something gets kicked out, my guess is what gets kicked out is sleep, is time with your family, and time to do the things you love. You know, time management, again, is not just something that we all say we want to improve. It is a life skill we have to improve. If we want our lives to be balanced between work and home, if we want to have an opportunity to use our gifts and talents to live out into a purpose, to have time to use and understand the things we value most in life, we've got to improve our time management, because when something else comes into our life, it automatically knocks something out. And if your time management is poor, it's actually knocking out what we love most about life. And here's what happens. It's not that you just didn't get these 15 things done. It's that you didn't get the 15 yesterday done. You didn't get the 15 the day before that. And all of a sudden, you have absolutely nothing that you can actually focus on. Now, if you look at this circle and this circle, and we make it to look more like an hourglass, you can quickly see that if you have too much to do, you will absolutely hit what we call the choke point. As that sinks in, this choke point is where most people are living. Day in, day out, the brain really does swirl in chaos. We don't know where to start. We're not sure that we have clear directions. We're not sure we have the training. We may need to learn something. We're not having great communication. We just walk into our desk and we have no idea of where to start. We are overwhelmed. We obviously have too much to do. Things pile up and pile up until we hit this point, the choke point, where we're just finally completely shut down. You know, I have to pause for a minute, because this choke point, when was the last time you felt like that? My guess is you felt like that today, or at least yesterday or the day before, where you had so much to do you couldn't get it all done. So I'm going to clear this off. So what are some of the solutions that you can have? I wanted to share the problem, because as we talk about the problems, it becomes more and more apparent that we just can't sit back and do nothing. We're going to have to choose to take action. We're going to have to choose to learn new skill sets. If the time management skills we've been using for the last 50 years of our life are not working, then we need to stop doing what's not working. We're going to have to try some new things. That's why I've created these tools. The daily progress report, the 15-minute increment worksheet. These are tools that by the end of this training, I think it's going to help you dramatically. So let's step back and talk about why 7 minutes. Why are we the 7-minute life? We've already looked and seen that there's only 24 hours in a day. That's all we have. Some of us think we're going to be able to do 30 or 50 hours worth of work, but they're only 24 hours. That breaks down to 1,440 minutes. The beauty of the 7-minute life is I'm going to ask you to commit 1% of your time, to make a conscious choice to take 1% of your time to think and 1% of your time to plan. To actually create a to-do list that is not just a place so you won't forget things, but it's actually a written plan of action that will make you productive, that will give you clarity and efficiency to think and plan. It's hard to imagine that we are so tied down to all the things that we think we need to do that we don't really know what we should do. The simplicity of the 7-minute life is that if we can choose to take 1% of our time, that's 14 minutes a day, 14 minutes to think and plan. Imagine how much more you could get done if you actually knew what you were going to do. Remember, how to do it and how to do it faster. What, how, and how faster. That breaks down to the fact that I'm going to encourage you to take 7 minutes in the evening and 7 minutes in the morning to think about what you want to do. 1% of your time to radically change your time management skills, your daily productivity, and your efficiency. Could it really be that simple? Could it be as simple as taking 7 minutes to think and plan what you'll do? And I say, yes, I think it can be that simple. So let's step back and think about the to-do list that we've created. We've created a to-do, actually, I'm going to go back to the to-do list. That'll make it simpler. Instead of having some random to-do list, we've actually thought through, we've taken 7 minutes in the evening, and we've thought about what we need to do. And so instead of having 15 things on our list, and we may have put other 15 things down so we don't forget them, but on our to-do list, we're going to begin to think through. First step in a to-do list is you write all of this stuff down in the evening. Now, you're not going to do it, but you do want to empty out the clutter in your brain. You do want to put everything down. And so after you've written all these things down on your to-do list, and you can see how this is, the second step is to begin to narrow. You can't do it all. The more narrow you can focus your attention, the fewer decisions you have to make, the more likely you are to accomplish these things. Step one, you pull out a piece of paper. You set your timer, literally set a timer for 7 minutes, and you think about what you need to do. And you write these things down. Step number two is that you prioritize them. Now, a lot of people walk in and they have a to-do list, but it's just this random stuff. We don't know what's important, what's not important. As we prioritize our to-do list, we want you to focus on what we call high-value activities. High-value activities. When you know you're coming into the day, there are certainly things that are more important and certain things that are less important. It's obvious that we're going to want to do the less important things. We're going to want to look at our email and check our texts and have conversations. And that's fine, but we have to make sure that we actually know what our high value activities are. Do we even know what it's going to take a project and move it forward? It could be a big project or a little project. First thing is we create our to-do list. This is all 7 minutes in the evening. Then we begin to prioritize them. You say, this one is the most important thing I need to do. And then this is another high value activity, and this, and then I think these two things are the next. So what we're doing is we're getting all that out of our mind, and then we're taking those 15 or 20 things that we have, and we're narrowing it down to things that we can commit to, important things, by stepping out of the noise and not just taking the fire drill first at a time. We're actually making decisions of what we need to do and how we need to prioritize it. And that gives us a lot of confidence. As we begin to narrow these things down, we make commitments to ourselves and emotional connections, and we find that we're more driven. We have that internal desire to actually get things done, to see progress happen. So step one is to write it down. Step two is to prioritize it. Step three, very few people take the time to do. I want you to take time to estimate how long each one of these things will take. How long will each one of these things on your to-do list take? Let me clear this off and come back. Let's say that you really do have 5 things on your to-do list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, these are the things that you may have had 15, but you've narrowed it down to these, and you've prioritized that, yes, I'm going to do this first, this second, this third, this fourth, this fifth. As you look at how long it will take, I think that's where a reality check comes in. We think we can do more than we can. We underestimate how long it's going to take, and we overestimate how many things we can get done. So after you've created your to-do list and you've prioritized it, the next step is to say, okay, this is going to take me 45 minutes. And I think this phone call is going to just take 5 minutes, and I need to reply to this email, but I've got to pull some documents. So that's going to take about 15 minutes, and I need to work on a financial budget. That's probably going to take 4 hours. So I need to plan that. And then I have to go to a staff meeting, and that's probably going to take 45 minutes. Okay, so you've created this, and as you begin to look at your to-do list and put hard, concrete estimates on how long it's going to take, you're going to quickly see, maybe I can't get everything done, 45 minutes and 15 minutes is an hour. This project is going to take 4 hours. Let's just say these two round up to another hour. So now all of a sudden we're at 6 hours of work. Just our to-do list. We haven't even walked in the office. We're just at the 7 minutes in the evening thinking through what we want to do. So we think through and we go, I've got 5 things. If I hadn't planned, I wouldn't have thought it would take that long. I've got 8 hours to do it in. So you walk in, again, you've got this 8 hours of a work frame. You've got 6 hours. So that leaves you 2 hours. Remember that we were talking about? You have 2 hours left. Anything else that comes into your work day is going to automatically knock something out. And my guess is it's going to knock out one of these things that you had made a commitment to accomplish. So how do we make that better? The first thing is we can't fix all of the time management problems, but we can become aware of how little time we actually have. What's the next step? After you've created your to-do list and you've taken your 7 minutes, the next step, and this is fairly new for me, I realized that even though I was creating my to-do list, I was narrowing it down, and I was estimating how long it would take, I still didn't have a clue of how that translated into a real day. And that, excuse me, that's actually kind of sad to me as a time management person. So I created this 15-minute increment worksheet. And this has happened in the last 2 years. And I tell you, we have more people saying this single tool has made them more aware than almost anything else. This 15-minute increment worksheet is making them more productive, giving them more confidence, helping them create realistic days, helping them know what to do, how to plan that time so that they have a realistic opportunity to leave the day having done what they said they would do. So let's look at how this works. This is truly just 15 minutes. Of course, if you wake up at 5, I didn't put a lot of there. So here's 5, here's 6, here's 7. And at 7, it begins to break into 15-minute increments. And I think that's important because you'll see how quickly those 15 minutes can slip by. And anything that slips by is slipping out of your life. So as you take this, and I'm going to give you one of these, you can download this. This is the entire worksheet itself. So as you look at this in your actual activity, after you've done this and you take some time, but if you've downloaded this, let's just take a look at how this might really work in your life. Let's say that you wake up at 5 o'clock. And then let's come down here and say, okay, but I want to go to bed at like 10. And I can't exactly see all of these numbers, but you get the idea. So I'm getting up at 5 and I'm going to bed at 10. So I'm making a conscious decision to get 7 hours of sleep. Okay, that's great. So I get up and then I start reading or getting dressed or whatever it is. And I drive to work, and I get to work at maybe 8 o'clock or 7. I'm not sure what those numbers are. And then you've looked back at the things that you have to do. You remember that you've got a 45-minute project, a 5-minute project, a 4-hour project, a 1-hour project, and maybe a 15-minute. I can't remember. So as you have created these things in the evening, in the morning or in the evening, you're going to sit down and you're going to say, okay, when am I going to work on this 45-minute project? And this was a staff meeting, I believe. When is that going to be? And when am I going to make this phone call? And when am I going to work on this financial budget? And when am I going to have this? And when am I going to have that? So let's first put in the staff meeting. Okay, so here's where you arrive at the office. Let's just put in that the staff meeting's here and that we've planned that it'll take an hour. Let's say there are 10 people and it'll take an hour to accomplish that. All right, so you walk in and here's where everything begins to become helpful, I think. So the staff meeting is here. And you've said to yourself, well, I'm going to work on the financial budget from 1 until the staff meeting. So I have 2 hours here. And then I'm going to try to work on it until here. Well, that's an hour. At least I can get part of it done. And I'll try to leave the office here. And so, okay, I've got 3 hours out of the 4 hours I need there. I've got this for the staff meeting. I'll try to make that phone call right about here. And then I can't remember what the other thing was, but I had another 45 minutes. So let's look at this. The first thing that we have to look at is how much of our time on our daily calendar when we pull up our smartphone is pre-scripted. How many things do you have on your list that are staff meetings that you have no control over? I talk to friends at your company and they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, they'll have 5 staff meetings. They might have 1.5 hours of time that's not pre-scripted to work on. So when you look at your day, again, what time are you going to get up? What time are you going to go to bed? How many activities do you already have that are pre-scripted? I'll just add some in here so that we can kind of use this. Okay, so if this is some kind of project, and this is some kind of financial budget, and this is a staff meeting that you have, you can automatically look at your day and say, oh, I don't really have as much time as I thought I had. I've got that amount of time, and then I want to leave work. Isn't it amazing that you get these 3 things on your calendar and you look at them? Because now as you see this filling in, you understand that this is a hard framework. You can't put anything else in here, because if you do, you're not going to have 7 hours of sleep. You're going to have 5 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep. And because you still want to get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things done, by looking at this, by taking that 15-minute increment worksheet and laying out what you already have to do, whether it's scripted or pre-scripted, or you need to do the financial budget, all of a sudden you realize I've got 2 blocks of time to get all 5 of these things done. That's where it comes back to awareness. It gets worse than this. Let's say you get up at 5, you get to the office here, you have this meeting, you do have time to work on this financial budget, and you have the staff meeting here, and you want to leave to go home. All of a sudden now you've still got things to do, but here's where reality happens. You get to the office and you're going to work on this project, but somebody starts knocking at your door. You had scheduled an hour to work on that. Now they've pushed something onto your desk before you even sit down that now says, okay, that hour no longer exists. So you have this open point that you were going to work on something else. So you now pick up the project here that you were going to work on here, but all of a sudden you've gotten a text message or an email or something, and it's cutting into this project that you were going to work on. The to-dos, if you remember, have to be something that you can do. If you had allotted this amount of time to start and finish a project, that's what time management is start and finish. If you had allotted this much time to start and finish, the problem is you start, you get about this far into the project, and you have an interruption. And when you have an interruption, you don't go back to just picking it up right here. You actually go back to here. You've got to figure out where you were again. And so then all of a sudden, you have another few minutes, so you start working again. You get here, and then boom, there's another interruption, so it takes you back. And you can see that what you thought was just going to take this much time actually ends up taking double the amount of time. Now, if I had more time, we'd come into more and more solutions of how you solve for these problems. But this is just an introduction. And I hope you're just sitting there nodding your head saying, yeah, looking at this 15-minute increment, I see clearly I only have 2 blocks of time to get the things done that I need to get done. And even though I've blocked off this 2 hours to accomplish a task, to actually take something, take action on it, and do it, that's what productivity is. Productivity means taking something that does not exist and turning it into, to produce, like a farm, to produce something that now exists. So the only way we can be productive is by taking something, starting it, and finishing it. The 15-minute increment worksheet is very eye-opening. Now, as you look at that, it does get a little scarier. What's not on this worksheet is drive time, is running errands, going to the grocery store, looking at emails, returning phone calls that come in, having that conversation after the staff meeting. When you actually take action on a to-do, it's often going to list to more tasks that you need to do. All of these things come into your life, and how in the world do you solve these problems of having all these interruptions? I think you can see how quickly these 15-minute increments go by. Boom, 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 boom. We don't realize how these tiny chunks of time just take our time and move it all the way around. So how do you begin to solve some of these problems? You just take the 7 minutes. You literally make a choice to step out of the noise, and we'll be talking about the daily progress report, but to take time to think about what you want to do and begin to prioritize it down to what we call the 5 before 11 list. Is it that hard? Yeah, it's that hard, really. It's hard to clarify from all that confusion into something that you can do. So let's take it just this last step forward, and then we're going to continue on in this. You've taken your to-do list. You've actually looked through all the clutter and confusion, and you've created a written plan of all these things. Step 1 is that you just write it down. Step 2 is that you've prioritized it in the order that you want to do. Step 3 is you've recognized how long it's going to take. So this might take an hour, this might take 2 hours, this might take 5 minutes. And then you create what we call our 5 before 11 list. This has really taken off because it's a common language. It's something that in a company, we can all begin to use the same language. Hey, Allison, have you created your 5 before 11 list? And what that means is that you have narrowed your list down to 5 high value activities. You've narrowed everything down until the 5 things that you will make a commitment to. You've narrowed your to-do list down. You understand how long it's going to take. And you said, yes, these are the 5 tasks I will complete. I will make a commitment to complete before 11 a.m. Now, in order to do that, I think it becomes really apparent that these things have to be small tasks. If we know we're going to get interrupted, we have to just be able to take tiny steps. So this 5 before 11 list is part of this daily progress report. It's just a downloadable tool. You can also buy it and put it in a planner. We have those that are pre-printed. But here's where it becomes important: time management, productivity, and efficiency. I want to have one tool. If I could have one piece of paper every day that I was using, one piece of paper that's in one binder, one place, one safe location, we call that a capture tool. One place to capture all of the things I need to do. To take the 7 minutes to write down those things. Some people don't have to make daily contacts. They create their to-do list here. They begin to narrow things down. This is just a single day. So this is, 01 of 01 of 01. Each day you create a written plan of action, and you go through this process of writing everything down, of prioritizing, of knowing how long it will take. And then after you've created that reality check, then you get to choose, and you say, here are the 5 things. Here are the 5 things that I'm going to commit to start and finish before 11 a.m. Now people say, is it 11 a.m. or is it 11 p.m.? Well, 5 before 11 is really a catchphrase. It's actually something that helps you understand, hey, if I can get these 5 things done, look at how far along I'll be. 5 things before 11 o'clock. The other thing, especially when you're working in a team, is that just like we've talked about, that there's a hard stop on this 24 hours a day, that if you put something else in, it automatically knocks something else out. To be in team communication, where you're using the same language and you talk to one another and you know what you're going to do, what projects, what tasks, what deadlines, and you say, okay, here's what I'm going to work on. Here are the 5 projects that I believe have the highest value for our team today, and I'm going to focus on this. And you have this common language. Then when your teammate, your coworker comes in and they say, here's another hour-long project that I need you to complete, then you can honestly have that conversation of, okay, I've got these 5 things on my 5 before 11. We've talked about these things. Which one of these do you not want me to do? And as I was talking to the head of training, they said, absolutely, we need to have the freedom and the ability to have those conversations of we can't stay up until midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning. We can't take on extra projects because extra projects are going to kick something out. So we need to, it's okay to have extra projects, but what we have to do is we have to know which ones of those projects do we need to work on first. What a great tool to have a common language saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make daily progress, and I'm going to have a report of it. I'm going to be able to follow along with myself and say, yep, here's what I want to do. I've taken my 7 minutes. I have a clear idea of what I need to do. I also know how long it's going to take me to do it. And I'm going to narrow that down until I can just take a few steps. Can you imagine just taking a few steps? But if you're going to do that, then we have to begin to use these tools over and over and over again. It's like if this were a golf lesson and you're just sitting in on this webinar hearing about golf, at the end of the webinar, you would not be able to play golf. This really is just an introduction to some concepts that I think you can start immediately, but you'll need to download these tools. You need to go to the website, look at what's attached, download the daily progress report, and begin to use it. Write down your to-dos, write down the things, prioritize them, estimate how long they'll take, put them on a 5 before 11 list, translate these things into how long each one of them are going to take, and see if you say, I'm going to do these 5 things, look at it. On this side, were you able to do it? What was the reality? If you thought this was going to take an hour and it ended up taking 3 hours, this tool becomes predictive. In other words, the next time we have that same project that we thought was going to take an hour, we can stop ourselves and say, no, it didn't take an hour last time. It actually took 3 hours. So we can begin to plan out our reality check so that we don't leave with that choke point. We leave saying, hey, I did what I said I would do. So all of this is about taking tools that you can use over and over and over again, and as a team have that common language. What are the 5 before 11? Now, the next step of this is if you have this 5 before 11 list, if you know that you're going to have this 5 before 11 list and you want to get these things done, they have to be small enough that you can actually start and finish. That's what time management is about. It's going from here to here. So these have to be tiny tasks. We call those things micro actions. They have to be small enough that you can start and finish them within 20 minutes. If you go to Wikipedia, they say the average adult has an attention span of somewhere between 2 seconds and 20 minutes. Now, I think 2 seconds sometimes is stretching it for me. I'll walk out of my office to go get something, and I have to walk back into my office to remember what I was going to get. So these things that you're going to commit to have to be small enough that you can start and finish them in 20 minutes. We call those things micro actions. And the reason that I write these things down is that we don't just need to hear them. We need to hear them. We need to see them. We need to talk to our teammates about them. We have to begin to use these things over and over. I want you to clearly see this repetition of to-do list, prioritize, how long will it take, look at the reality, narrow it some more, create this 5 before 11, make these things tiny, because every time you mark something off your to-do list, it is a huge win. It's a win that we should celebrate, because we know it's moving us forward towards a further goal. What would it feel like today as you mark 5 things off your to-do list? These are the 2 tools, but here's a third one. What if something isn't going to take 20 minutes, like that finance budget? What if you do have a project that's going to take you 4 hours? And it's also going to require you to pull other people in. They're my little people. It's going to have committee meetings and things that you're going to have to focus on. Well, that's not actually something you can do. And yet all the time, I see people create a to-do list that says, hey, I need to create finance budget. And there's a problem with that because they can't do that. How many times have you put something like create finance budget or financial budget or marketing budget, and you can't do it because it's not something you can accomplish within 20 minutes. Now, some micro actions may take 30 seconds. It may take, just sending an email out to someone or setting up a phone call. But let's say that the project in this example is creating that financial budget. We know that's not something we can do. It is not something we can do. It is actually a project. This is a great concept because we come in and we can't finish this thing and we say, why can't I finish it? It's not something you can do. It's actually a project that has to be planned. Wouldn't it make sense if you had a big project like this, if you could break it down into pieces? So if you were going to create this, the first thing you might do is pull last year's budget. And then you might set a schedule of what outline you need to have, what needs to be, what are the sections that need to be in the budget. So all you do is you look at what and you create an outline for what you're going to have to do. And then all of this what, you can take it section by section by section by section. Now, obviously, if you're going to get to a point that's going to take 20 minutes, it's not a hard and fast rule, but there are always things that we can break down into smaller and smaller pieces. So if you come in and say, hey, I'm going to do the financial budget, and because you can't do 4 hours, it rolls over day after day after day. It's just, it just keeps piling on into that choke point. But what if you said, okay, I'm going to start this, and the only thing I have to do is I have to pull last year's, and I have to create a schedule and an outline. Pulling last year's is going to take me 5 minutes. Creating the schedule of kind of understanding, that might take 15 minutes. Creating the outline make 20 to 30 minutes. What would it feel like if you had this whole thing planned out, but tomorrow you could come in and say, yep, did that, did that, did that. And you have these things and you've marked them off your list. And because you've planned it out, you're going to step by step move through this until finally that project is finished. The bottom line is you've used your time to get to done. You've known what you needed to do. You've known how to do it, what steps, and you actually knew how long each one of them would take. And the power of moving from not done to done, that's productivity. As we begin to wind this up, I think that it's important to know that productivity happens when you can actually take a to-do list and take action on it. The biggest thing that I want you to walk away with is that we have things on our to-do list that are projects. Anything that's going to take you more than 20 minutes needs to be broken down. The next thing that I want as a takeaway is that this concept of micro actions, the 5 before 11, of breaking down what you said you'd do into tiny things that you can complete, start and finish and marked off as done. The power of the micro action is part of the key to the 7-minute life success. Remember, all you've done is you've taken 7 minutes in the evening, you've created a to-do list, you've put micro actions that you can actually do. If you had projects, you've broken those projects down into micro actions. You've narrowed your scope. You've estimated it how long it was going to take. If it was going to take more than 20 minutes, you continue to break it down. You created your 5 before 11 list. You made a commitment to do that. What if you focused on this project, on this concept, on the 7-minute life for 1 week? If you accomplished 5 high-value activities, 5 micro actions for 7 days, you would accomplish 35 tasks. 35 high-value things would be completed. But let's take it a step further. The 7-minute life is built on a 90-day platform. Why? Because seasons are in 90 days. Corporate earnings are in 90 days. Often project deadlines are in 90 days. If you would make a commitment to take 7 minutes in the evening and 7 minutes in the morning to use a tool like this to create a daily plan of action, and to use your 15-minute increment worksheet to create a reality check and say, okay, maybe today I can't get 5 things done, but possibly I can get 2 things done. If you were to learn how to use these tools to accomplish 5 tasks for 90 days, you'd accomplish 450, and this is the key, high-value activities that would take you less than 20 minutes, that would come in the day with a written plan of action, and you would actually do what you said you would do. The power, the self-esteem, the excitement, the energy, the internal drive of being the person you've said you want to be is incredible. It's overwhelming rather than feeling overwhelmed. It's a good thing. John Maxwell said these things. He said there's 6 steps to personal change. First, you have to think about it. I hope I've gotten you thinking today that your time management, your productivity, and your efficiency can change. This is just the first step, getting you thinking about it. The second part is that you have to believe it. There are things you can do to improve your time management. And that changes your expectations. And when your expectations change, your attitude changes. And there comes a point where you're just so fed up with having poor time management skills that you make a decision to change your behavior. You begin to use new skill sets, and you realize that what you were doing wasn't working. So you take on new behaviors. You look at things, and when you take on new behaviors, that changes your performance. So you got to think it, believe it, expect it, have an attitude, change the behavior, and encourage new performance, because the key to that is it actually changes your life. You know, the 7-minute life is about taking 7 minutes to plan your time management, but there has to be a so that in there. Why do you want to be more productive? So that. Why do you want to be more efficient? So that. Why do you want to improve your time management? I want to improve my time management so that I can re-engage with what's most important. I can feel like the work I do matters. I can spend more time with my family. I can exercise. I can sleep. What's the so that? You want to be more productive so that. John Maxwell continues and he says, positive expectation produces these things. It produces excitement, conviction, desire, confidence, commitment, and energy. That's the entire purpose of what we've talked about today. I really appreciate being invited to share this webinar with your corporation, to reach out and to help people have common language, to look at time management and say, yes, it can change. I don't need to know just what's wrong with my time management. I need to know what I need to do, how I can do it, and how I can have tools and repeatable processes to actually do it more efficiently. Because if then, so that I can have excitement, conviction, desire, confidence, commitment, and energy. That's what we want for you. That's why Allison Lewis brings this information to you in this corporation right at this minute. You know, the group that has sponsored this event has said, we want to train, we want to help you make your job better, make your life better. These are those kind of things that rare corporations do, where they invest in their people and they say, here are the things that we want to help you with, the skill sets to make your job better, to make your life better, to fill you back with energy. I want to say thank you to the group, the training head that put all of this together. This is important, and it's just a first step. The bottom line is, I want to improve my time management so that I can have a life that is important, and so that I can get to enough. At the end of the day, it would feel so great to say, I had my list, I knew what I was going to do, I did it, and I can go home feeling like I did enough. I'm Allison Lewis, a time management expert, author of several books, someone that is very passionate and driven to help people. If there are people out there that need more training, not only do we do time management training, and please feel free to reach out to us, to call me, to take and buy our planners and books, and to use these tools into your life, to look at the training videos, but to have us come in person and to teach your team and get that common language. But I'm also excited to say that AllisonLewis.com is launching leadership development training for women. It's also a very narrow niche. We don't just work with women, obviously, but we also want to offer this to people that are growing in their leadership skills, that are wanting to train, and they need information about time management and goal setting and communication and conflict resolution and business modeling. If that's something that's of interest to you, then I hope you'll reach out to me. That's my picture, Allison Lewis, and we do all kinds of things, speaking, training, and coaching. But I really hope you'll reach out, check with us, find out what our rates are, and our availability. I am absolutely delighted to have been here. It's been a great honor to share these things with you. I hope that you'll know we're glad to collaborate. If there's anything that I can do to help you personally, please reach out. I'm Allison Lewis, a time management expert, a person who is passionate about having a so that in life. I want to thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in another productive video session. Thanks so much.